also tell us about your project.
Okay, my name's Russ Cole. I'm the founder and chairman of ESL Group. We're a systems integrator based down in Devonport, just outside Plymouth. The project we have is twofold. We're engaged with the City Council on a digital twin project for the Plymouth Sound area, and we're also taking the opportunity to do a full tech refresh of our flagship product.
So in terms of being part of the IoT data activation ride, what was your goal?
So really to take a proper look at the Azure platform. Our core product has been hosted in-house solution built on IIS SQL Server right back to 1998 on the first generation, and we've considered Azure along the way over the last 5 to 10 years, but this really gave us an opportunity to have a proper look at it and understand whether we wanted to adopt that as part of our 4th generation refresh that we're currently undertaking.
What advantages did you gain from being part of the program?
Well, it gave us a proper look. Along the way when we have sort of dipped in, it's not been a consistent focus for us. A lot of distractions, so it was nice to be able to take a proper look and talk to the experts and understand where that stack stood and how it could be incorporated into our program without adding too much program risk.
Did the participation in the program identify opportunities to pivot your original plans?
Not necessarily pivot, but I think it did force us to look at the sort of peripheral aspects of the program, and in talking to you guys, really sort of look at the phasing of how we could migrate to the Azure platform, again focusing on minimizing risk, but also bringing some early benefits, particularly around our hardware offering by adopting Azure Sphere and moving to IoT Hub as a first step. So it broke a potentially very complex roadmap down into some manageable chunks, and that's been very helpful.
Did you see benefit in considering your business model in conjunction with the solution design?
So business model wise, it's quite complex because we're multi-sector with the same technology. So we very much focus on the perceived value of the solution for each of the sectors. Others, some sectors can carry some certain business models, others just simply can't. And again, looking at the overall balance of the customer base, really sort of adapting the business model to fit, and also be able to cover the cost of hosting and migration and all of those good things as well. So business model wise, we have several, and again, it was helpful to have some independent feedback on some of those things. We weren't able to disclose too many of the options, but those that we were, it was good to get some independent feedback.
So it sounds like you were building the solution with customer in mind. Is that fair to say? Yes. And in terms of, I suppose, in terms of validating those customers, did it add any value in terms of considering that piece?
Yes, yeah, it did, and quite often, a customer isn't too clear on what exactly they want, and moving into sort of digital twins and things like that, it's breaking new ground for some of the operators we're talking to, and they're a little bit scared of the concept, let alone the costs and how the operating model will fit in as well as the technology. So it was helpful to again validate some of the seeds that we've planted a year ago, to really be able to follow that through and give some independent feedback to how that might work and how that might look.
Okay, great. And you mentioned Azure Sphere as part of the program. Did that introduce you to new technologies within the Azure stack that you maybe weren't familiar with?
Yes. Again, we had a cursory knowledge of some of these things, but hadn't gone into a deep dive. And one of the prime considerations was moving from a proprietary device listener hub that we have within our products to a cloud-based solution that would give us the scale that we're looking for. Some of the pilots that we were looking at before, small enough really to be able to scale that through our existing cloud provider and manage it ourselves. But obviously, the kind of scale that we're now going for, it just makes perfect sense to move to a cloud platform. The Sphere device, I think, was the clincher in terms of being able to integrate that to our existing gateway technology. So again, from a risk management perspective, it's tremendously helpful, and we're now able to advance the conversations we're having with potential customers around pilots, and again, the future business models and costs that would be baked into that overall prospect. So it's been able to round conversation and clearly lay out what the value proposition is to our customers.
Great. So a couple of the key points that I picked up on there was the scale element, but also the simplification of not just your integration with what you've got currently, but also in terms of actually rolling out those proof of concept to your customers, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and also the roadmap as well. So the next generation of the gateway. I mean, at the moment, we're going to integrate the module, which gives us a quick route to market, and again, reduce risk moving forward. Integrating the chip within the next generation design of our gateway and nodes is going to give us the scale, the security, and the price point that we're going to need to be able to achieve.
Right. So you're essentially saying that from an Azure perspective, right, it's suitable for your solution as it is today, but actually it helps you in terms of building out your roadmap for your solution as you move forward.
Absolutely, and one of the key things post-COVID is, and now having recently relocated to Devonport, we're engaged with customers that raising our profile. We need to have the confidence of what we're putting forward as our roadmap to be able to consistently deliver that year on year, and not be chopping and changing what we're trying to achieve and how we're trying to achieve it. So the activation program has been helpful in crystallizing thoughts, and we can confidently lay out our own roadmap and plans and try and dovetail that with some of the customer solutions.
That's great. There's a key word there, is confidence.
Yeah,
I like the fact that the program's giving you that confidence. So with that in mind, besides giving you the confidence, would you recommend participation in the IoT data activation program to other organizations, and why would you do so?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were a number of other companies on the call, ranging in size from major global players to SMEs such as ourselves. It was interesting hearing their own challenges and plans, and there are a number of different facets that we're each looking to solve. I don't know how those other guys got on, but my takeaway was that, as with us, it helped to give some focused time looking hard at where you were on your own journey, and what the potential was to move through an Azure platform, and how that might bring you some new opportunities. So I would definitely recommend any organisation to take a look at the program and see if that could help them.
Great. So something that I picked up on in your response there was you're you to the fact that those that are on the program with you were of different size of scale. Are you kind of, is it kind of the suggestion that actually, regardless of where that company is and their size, this Azure almost gives you a level playing field in terms of being able to develop and build solutions?
Yes, I think so. I mean, the bigger companies have like us, have a lot of legacy technology that they probably developed or inherited along the way through acquisitions, and they need to create a coherent strategy as to how they move forward over the next 5 to 10 years, that's not an easy thing to do in any organisation. And particularly the larger ones where they need to get a lot of stakeholders' approval and changes in personnel over time, etc. It's a very challenging thing for them. So I think being able to achieve quite a lot in terms of their thinking in a consolidated, short period of time, I think is helpful. If they can do that, they stand a reasonable chance of getting the necessary buy-in to be able to get that transformation program up and running internally. And for the smaller guys, it's important to have something. Again, going back to the confidence thing. If you feel that you have, you're building on a solid foundation, then it very much helps in projecting your own capability and offering. Confidence around pricing structures and stability thereof is pretty important. And the potential to progressively market with Microsoft as a result of that transformation is also hugely appealing to companies such as ourselves as well.
And with that in mind, then that marketing with Microsoft piece, right? You see that as being an opportunity for your business going forward.
Very, very much so. We need to complete the initial POC work that we're doing, and once we start getting some feedback from our own customers, start looking at closing out an MVP level release that we can then take globally. We have some international offices that, again, post-COVID, we can start to jump on a plane and raise the profile of the new generation offering, and I think we can accelerate that with Microsoft's help.
Fantastic. So some clear next steps there coming out of the program, right? In terms of that's fantastic. Okay, well, thanks very much for that, Russ. Rich, I'm not sure if you've got any specific questions at this point. Is there anything you want to drill into?
Yeah, I could do actually. Thanks, Chris. So something, Russ, that you mentioned earlier, when we talked about the roadmap, we worked together to put that roadmap in place, which goes out many months probably into the future. I was just really interested in how you felt the shorter term activities worked out for you and an ESL in terms of what were you able to do reasonably quickly, and did you find that roadmap was effective in giving you something in the short term to really get you moving?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, really the Azure Sphere IoT Hub element, it was a clear win for us, and we were able to get hold of the Azure module dev kits to have a play and start the integration with it within our gateway. So that from a program risk perspective, that was the area that we wanted to look at quickly, and that's been achievable with your help. Moving forward, we very much need to look at Cosmos DB as an element that would give us the scale for some of the data volumes and the AI element that we're moving into with some of the projects here, and alongside that, the insights, the Power BI elements, and so on, gives us another dimension that we can tap into, an area that we hadn't looked at before, that would give us an add. So I think with the roadmap that we've come up with and the phasing that we've worked out with you guys gives us sort of like a rolling thunder type solution in terms of delivery and momentum. That's again looking towards January 22 as a point where we can stick our head above the parapet and start to shout about what we have, and that should coincide with the business community being ready again to start to look at some of these solutions. So again, with working with you guys on marketing and so on internationally, I think that's going to give us a tremendous foothold to launch into the new year.
Perfect. Thanks, Russ. That's great to hear, and we look forward to continuing that journey with you.
Excellent.